Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Diamond. If you're new and if you're returning, thank you for returning. All right, y'all know how I do it. Let's get straight into it. So I'm going in with my Fenty foundation in the shade 420 because the way I like to do my makeup most recently is the concealer to be a little bit more like highlighted, more lighter, right? So I already primed my face with the NYX electrolyte primer, and then of course before that I cleaned it with the Noxzema face pads, and I'm using the elf blending brush to blend the foundation into my skin, and I'm using like tapping and sweeping motions to make sure it gets everywhere. I'm using a Dose of Colors concealer. The shade of everything that I can't remember will be posted on the screen, but I put this under my eyes, on my nose, on my forehead, and I like to go into the contour so that this can dry down. I don't like to put too much on the nose because it can be washed out and then it'll make it more muddy for you to do your contour, so I don't like that. So I pretty much use something that's pretty close to my skin tone, like maybe a shade or two lighter, and then I go in and lighten it. So this is the I believe NW50 in Max concealer, but I use this as my contour. I cream contour, and also I go in and set everything with powder because let's put it like this. I have oily skin. This is the elf blending brush. I have oily skin, so if I just go in with a bunch of creams on my face will literally eat up all of that makeup, and it will not look like I had makeup on by the end of the day. Now if I do the same thing with powders, it will eat it up as well. But the powder versus the creams by itself is that I will look cakey and oily by the end of the day, and the powders would just be completely gone and soaked up by my oils on my face. So yeah. So when blending my contour, I like to blend it back towards my hairline if it's around my forehead, and then on my chin I like to blend it up towards the concealer. I stopped for a coffee break. If you want to know what I got, let me know in the comments. So this is the Real Techniques 403 or 402 brush. I will put it on the screen. I just wanted to say it. But this is my favorite brush, y'all. Like, look how beautifully that blends makeup. Like, it's just perfect. It's the perfect size. It's the perfect type of bristles, quality, like everything. It blends out so well, and it doesn't hold the product in. It just does it for me. So I love to use that brush, and I put this everywhere. Like, I make the whole, let's say, upside down triangle. Now with this NARS concealer in light 2.8 or maroon glacé, if I said that right, I just control that in the, let's say, like a smaller triangle in comparison to the one that I just did. I also go in with my cream blush in the shade Strawberry Drip by Fenty, and I go ahead and I pack that in between where my contour and my concealer are, or and highlight as well. But yeah, so I go over it with the foundation brush to make sure that it's not too red, you know. And so y'all see how I'm making a smaller triangle? That's the way I like it. I really like it smaller than that, but I went a little bit too heavy handed. But you'll see in other videos the way I was supposed to do it, but it still came out real cute. Just make sure you blend the edges. Well, I make sure I blend the edges, and I always go to that foundation brush. Like, if all else fails and I feel like something is like too muddy or too much, I take the foundation brush and blend it together seamlessly. This is my second time trying the Huda Beauty baking powder, and y'all, that's in the shade, I think, Banana Bread. I'm gonna put on the screen. I need to stop saying the shades because I don't know. But y'all, I love that powder. Like, it's so good and it smells good, and I like the container that they have it in, as well as the little puff, because it makes everything so easy. I go ahead and I press that in, making sure to get the corners of my nose and under my eyes where I crease, because baby, that part, that be getting me every time. I take the brush and I go ahead and put the powder in every highlighted or concealed part. I don't know why I keep saying highlighted. That's my pet peeve. But yeah. So I'm using my Fenty bronzer to bronze myself up, bring some color back into my face. If you feel like when looking at me, I look a little bit like powdery, I use setting spray to get that. And y'all, I did my eyebrows and my eyeshadow on cam, but I cannot find the footage. Like, my SD card just does not have it. So, but I used the Juvia's Place palette for my blush, as well as for that eyeshadow look, those brown shades. So yeah. And remember, whenever you go in with creams, you always set it with powder. So that's why I'm going in and putting powdered eyeshadow on top of that cream blush. So you see where this light spot is? That normally happens, especially when you set it with powder. So I go in with the bronzer and I kind of just go over it, because you don't want like a moon right there, or I don't know, I just don't like a obvious light spot. Like, it can be, see how it looks subtle, I like that, but if it's obvious, no. So I use the same concealer for my contour on my nose, but I always use a little bit because that goes a long way. I use an angled small brush and I start from the beginning of my brow and drag it down to the end. And like I said, a little goes a long way, especially when you start using it while it's still wet. So it blends very good and fast too. And I go ahead with the bronzer from Fenty, and I just set that. I always set the creams with powder, and my face is looking so good, y'all. Like, this is my new go-to. When I tried that new powder for the first time, I was like, yeah, this is the one. So I dusted off a little bit more. Then I used the NYX Electrolyte setting spray, and y'all, I drenched my face in this because this is what's gonna break those powders down. I still got powder on the corner of my mouth, I didn't notice, but yeah. So blend that out. I used the Amazon powder puff to dry down those that liquid from the setting spray, and I'm using this as my highlighter. It's the Fenty, I think it's called Diamond Bomb highlighter. And y'all, this is my favorite too. Like, this my go-to next to Beats by Deb. Like, I just love that. Look at that, y'all. That looks so good. But yeah, and that's a Morphe brush that I'm using. I also like to use my Wet n Wild highlighter for my nose contour, just to add like a little bit of a wow, like a pop. And I use a bullet brush for that, so I can get the exact small like touch that I want. I use that same palette to put white eyeshadow in the middle. I do this like maybe 2 or 3 times just to add a pop. 2 times was enough for today because it was really pigmented with that bullet brush, and then I blend the edges out so that it doesn't just look like it sat on my face. I use the Sephora micro smoothing powder to chisel my contour. It's kind of close to my skin tone, maybe like 2 shades lighter, and you see how it blends. It doesn't look too light, it doesn't look too dark. It's like perfect. I don't like that light cut line underneath that. No ma'am, don't like that. But yeah, so I go ahead and I even blend it. You could tell like I blended in with the contour and the highlight so that everything can look like seamless, kind of like ombre, but it looks like one. This is the Juvia's Place brown lip pencil that I'm using to line my lips. Yes, I like to overline just a teeny weeny bit, okay? Just a teeny weeny bit, because it just looks so good. It makes your lips look so neat. I blend that with my lips, and then I use the MAC Creme de Nude lipstick, my favorite crackhead lip. This is the favorite go-to nude crackhead lip. It just looks so good to me. I go back in with the brown lip pencil, and then I use the Diamond Milk. Oh, that lip gloss looks so good, by Fenty. Look at how I just put it together. And y'all, don't ask me why I use a brush. My pet peeve is when the sticks of something that's supposed to be white is turned a color. Like, if it's supposed to be white, it stays white. If it's supposed to be clear, it stays clear. So I will use anything but what it came in to keep it that way. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, this is the final look, y'all. Look at that. And then look at my hair, y'all. Like, it was acting a little bit funny today, but the face is the focus of this video. So let me know if you'll try any of these products, and if you liked or learned anything from my new updated makeup routine. Put me onto some new products in the comments, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.